I'm very happy to be here on behalf of my team to present to you the Generations and Gender Program, a global data infrastructure for evidence-based policies and decision-making on demographic issues in Europe, Asia, and South America. Before I start, I just want to say thank you to the UN World Data Forum for this nice opportunity. And I would also like to thank our organizers for this session, UNFPA, UNECE, Statistics Norway, and our partners in Hong Kong, Uruguay, and Buenos Aires. The aim of this presentation is twofold. First, I would like to introduce to you what is GGP, Generations and Gender Program, what do we do? And second, and maybe more importantly, to get you excited about our work and maybe think of collaborating with us in the future. In order to do so, this presentation will have three parts. I will first introduce the GGP and our team in a nutshell, and then I will focus on the main product, which is the data that we collect, generations and gender surveys. And last but not least, there are also various hot topics or issues that we are focusing on. I would also say a few words about that. So GGP, Generations and Gender Program, in one sentence, it is a social science infrastructure for research on population and family dynamics. However, when you think of research infrastructures, you would immediately maybe thinking of those big research infrastructures with large investments, such as the Einstein telescope or the aerosol clouds and trace gases research, which is a work that involved in measuring emissions, for example, from volcanoes. There are also infrastructures like GGP, and all these research infrastructures are on the ESFRI roadmap, which stands for European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructures. And GGP was elected in 2021 to join this roadmap as a recognition of our scientific excellence and our importance in the field. Currently, there are in total 63 projects on the roadmap across all disciplines. So what are the common features of all these research infrastructures? First, they all collect data, often from different points across the globe. Secondly, they collect this data to answer pressing scientific questions. And lastly, they make this data available and accessible for the scientific communities. Just like the other research infrastructures, GGP also collects data, and we also answer pressing scientific questions, and we make our data accessible. The only difference is that GGP, instead of collecting data on stars or particles, we collect data on real people. And we may not need multi-billion or multi-million equipment to do so, but like all the other hard sciences, we want to use this data that we collect on real people to answer pressing scientific and also societal questions. So here is a short video showing you what GGP is and actually what we do.
The Generations and Gender Program is an international research infrastructure for high-quality and open-source data. We monitor life and family dynamics within society at the individual level. Family life has always been a reflection of societal changes. Our life courses differ greatly from those of previous generations. Young adults have many more options nowadays, and many more pressures, especially as they try to combine work, family, and social life. This means that an increasing percentage of young adults don't follow the sequence of the traditional life course of leaving home, getting married, and then having children, or postpone the events till a later age. GGP data show that in 1985 in Western Europe, about 50% of 30-year-olds followed this traditional path. 20 years later, only about a quarter of young people fit this traditional pattern. Policymakers.
Sorry, I think I did something and the video stopped. I could. Try to.
Operations. Young adults have many more options nowadays and many more pressures, especially as they try to combine work, family, and social life. This means that an increasing percentage of young adults don't follow the sequence of the traditional life course of leaving home, getting married, and then having children, or postpone the events till a later age. GGP data show that in 1985 in Western Europe, about 50% of 30-year-olds followed this traditional path. 20 years later, only about a quarter of young people fit this traditional pattern. Policymakers need to know how to support young adults as their lives unfold. To provide this support, we need to know the causes and consequences of change in people's lives. High-quality data and innovations are needed to answer these and other questions. This is where GGP comes into play. GGP takes the dynamic complexity of real people's families and lives and makes it accessible as high-quality, comparable data sets to researchers, policymakers, and civil society. Its focus on the complexity of family life across different countries is what makes the GGP a unique data resource in understanding rapid and profound social change. We curate these data sets to help others address pressing societal challenges. Our data sets are invaluable for formulating good policy. We provide access to these data sets to an ever wider audience. We do this because we believe this contributes to a better match between the realities of people's needs and the public policies designed to support them. To follow our research and to benefit from GGP's expanding data sets, contact us.
Thank you for watching the video. So I would like to say a few words about the, before we go further, a few words about some of the terms that I will use often in the presentation. First, the GGP infrastructure, I have said a few words about it already, and you've already watched the video. It was funded in 2000. However, what wasn't mentioned in the video is that we have an international consortium board, consists of European largest demographic institutes. And the main product is the GGS survey, generation and gender survey. It is a longitudinal survey focusing on individuals aging from 18 to 79. And in some countries, we also collect data on individuals from 18 to 59 when there is a retirement survey or a survey on aging population exist. We have done so for over 30 countries. So it is across the whole globe. And the central coordination team is located at NIDI, the Netherlands Interdisciplinary Demographic Institute, which is where I am located. And actually, the all the coordination regarding the data, the project, and the whole data cycle is happening at NIDI in the Netherlands. What we do at NIDI can be separated into 5 steps. The first step is that we work with countries, and we also work first ourselves to develop and test the core questionnaire. Then we go further working with the national coordination teams in countries to collect data. And during the whole process, we would closely monitor the fieldwork progress and the fieldwork. We will also organize the fieldwork. And the third step is after the data have been collected, our team will process, harmonize, and properly document and archive the data to make it easy to use and to make it comparable across all the countries. The fourth step is that we then make the data available. So all our data is open access. If I haven't mentioned that, it is important. So the data is accessible and available to the whole scientific community. And last but not least, we would reevaluate and reassess the data, and we think of the emerging challenges that we can answer using our data. And this last step rely on the collaboration, close collaboration between us, the data provider, and also the scientific community. Finally, I will talk about what is GGS, the Generations and Gender Survey. It is the main, as I've been saying it several times, it is the main product of GGP. But it is also important to note that GGS is part of a traditionally large international surveys, which started from the World Fertility Survey in 1970s. Of course, you can imagine that at the time, the scientific questions that were asked are very different from today, since this time was a time when people were still worried about high population growth and overpopulation. And now GGS-I is instead focusing on understanding the very large diversity in people's life course, in their family dynamics, and obviously the ways in which gender relations and relationship across generations have been modified. We have collected the first round of GGS in 2000, between 2004 and 2020. And now we are focusing on the data collection of GGS-II, the baseline questionnaire, which is what the focus of the following presentations will be. The presentation will be. There are, however, some common themes that we tackle in GGS. The first one is about transitioning to adulthood. So what are today's patterns of transitioning to adulthood? How do changes in the labor market are affecting young adults? And this would also further developing into how young adults transition into living parental home, finding a job, and also forming a family, forming relationships. And so these are life course transitions that we focus on. The second theme that we focus on is about fertility. We want to use our data in able to answer the question, why are fertility rates so low in so many countries? And why do people not realize their fertility intentions? Realizing fertility intentions means that they have indicated that they want to have children in the near future, but they do not manage to do that. And last but not least, we also look into older generations. We focus on how our older generations supported and cared for, and which support are older people providing themselves, and also which support the younger generations are providing for the older people, for their parents or for their grandparents. About the issues and hot topics that we're currently focusing on. First is about the geographical coverage. Of course, GGS-I, we have collected GGS-I in over 19 countries, and these countries are mainly European countries. We do have a representative coverage of Eastern and Central European countries, which was unique at the time. And now in GGS-I, we really want to make it globally. So here the map only shows you the countries that we collected in Europe, but we also have collected data in Latin America and East Asia. So it would, if you're interested in helping us expanding the geographical coverage, it would be very appreciated, and please contact us. And the other innovation or hot issues that we are focusing on is conducting a web survey. Traditionally, all the social science traditionally face-to-face interviews are still used as a dominant way to collect data in social science research. However, face-to-face interviews also suffer from several limitations. First, it is becoming very expensive for many countries. And secondly, it is also often difficult to find a good quality survey agency that is able to collect high quality face-to-face interview data. And second, there are also other methodological concerns such as interviewer effect during the face-to-face interview. And also during the pandemic, face-to-face interviews were even not possible. That's why in GGS Run 2, we made a switch from face-to-face interviews to web-based interview. I'm not going into the technical details of the surveys that we have done. I just want to show you the number of countries or territories that have collected GGS Run 2 data using completely web-based interview. So this is 100% CAWI countries, meaning computer-assisted web interview. As you can see that the response rates are slightly lower than the response rates that you usually see in a face-to-face interview. However, we have compared the data that we collected using only web surveys to the data that are available in the registers, and we see that for example, the fertility indicator is very comparable between the two sources, indicating that the data that we collected using web-only surveys are reliable. We also have countries that have either collected GGS Run 2 data in mixed mode, or they are planning to collect GGS Run 2 data in mixed mode. By mixed mode, I mean web as a main component and an alternative mode as a fallback plan, often for the respondent. For example, in Czech Republic, it is designed to be a push to web survey. So the respondents were first offered to do the interviews completely by themselves on the web. And if there's no respondent, if some of the respondents not reacting to that, they would offer a CAPI mode, which is computer assistant personal interview, face-to-face interview to those respondents. There are also, however, countries or territories that have collected GGS data in completely face-to-face interview, 100% CAPI mode. And you can see that these countries have started early. One of the reasons is also because the internet penetration is relatively low in these countries. Therefore, they cannot rely on collecting data using completely web-based survey. So these variations across countries, we have all been discussing, and also before implementing, we would always agree with the countries or discuss with the countries what is the best practice in the fieldwork. We have also made some exciting impacts, and we have used our data to informing policies. For example, the international organizations, UNFPA, UNECE, have been using GGS to addressing challenges arising from population change and embrace demographic resilience in Europe and Central Asia. So you can see this is the report about the result. And they have also been using the GGS data to attend to aging and calculate active aging index. At the national level, GGS data have also been employed to develop policies to reduce unmet family planning needs. In Moldova, it has been used to understand family formation and gender roles in Poland. And it is also an open data source for policymakers and society at large in Estonia. So with this, I'd like to conclude my presentation, but as I said before, we look forward to collaborating with all of you in the future. And if you are interested in using our data, it is open access and you can access it, download it, and use it to understand the society, the scientific questions, the challenges that you want to answer. So if you have any questions or intentions for collaboration, please let us know. Yeah, that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.